So now you're looking at Chubb, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, one of 5 quarterbacks possibly.
They want it to be, it has to be Watson with the money they've given him.
And they've actually, by adding, I think a lot of people are going to dismiss the Nyheim Hines signing. That is going to give Chubb a bit of a break every now and again, which he is desperately going to need. Welcome to Six Rings and Counting. I'm your host, Corey Idle, and joining me, as always, is my man, Mr. Lou Willard.
I'm due for some vacation time.
Yeah, you are. You've been grinding.
What's going on today?
Whew. Just another day. I'm watching you take calls from Omar, watching you take calls from Mike, and they're all asking the same questions.
I mean,
what are our enemies going to be doing?
I mean, and then we going to let the people know. Then I'll get back to Mike and them. They can wait.
There you go. Yeah, I think it was Jesus or Gandhi that said, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And that is exactly what we are going to focus on today as we take a look at the dastardly, the devious Cleveland Browns.
No logo having
little elf middle. I don't even know what y'all are doing up there. Come on. All right. So Cleveland got an exciting team coming in for the 2024 season. Last year was disappointing. They lost Nick Chubb. They did make the playoffs, but still, I don't think it was anything the Browns fans were overly excited about with Joe Flacco and the backfield having no actual running back to speak of.
But their fan base is a little delusional. They still thought they had a shot to win the whole thing. Like, you don't have your quarterback. You don't have your starting running back. Hell, you might have had the best quarterback on your roster, though, even because Deshaun, I guess he played pretty well when he was in there, but he got hurt early, way early. Mm-hmm. But this team, quite honestly, is loaded. They are good. But
yes.
Can they ever clear their hump?
Browns will always be the Browns.
They will always brown it up.
And so we've discussed before on previous shows, we know you're going to split with the Browns. Happens every year.
Yeah.
But yet they're the Browns. How does that always happen?
Because all of a sudden they became really good. You got to give the devil his due, and they are good. I mean, Pittsburgh scored 2 defensive touchdowns to beat them last year in week 1. I think it was week 1.
Yeah.
2 defensive touchdowns. The Browns didn't score any offensive touchdowns either. But Pittsburgh scored 2 and beat them. But this team, when you look at this team, yes, we can talk about their schedule here in a little bit, but just look at their defense. They're going to be in every game they play. Just the offense went so bad on them last year in the playoff game that Texans just got hot and jumped all over them. Yeah. You know, they walked into an ambush is what they did. And it happens. You know, if you play long enough, there's going to be a time where you get blown out, and there ain't a thing you can do where everybody go, why didn't you try this? We did. Why didn't you try that? We did. We just getting beat so bad you couldn't tell. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what happened to them down in Dallas, or I'm sorry, in Houston. But this defense is going to keep them in every single game they play. I mean, they beat the 49ers last year. They beat Pittsburgh. They went 11 and 6, something like that. Play 5 quarterbacks. To their credit, show me another team can play 5 quarterbacks and still go 11 and 6.
Fair point.
And make the playoffs.
Steelers tried, but they just ran out. Browns gobbled them all up.
Exactly.
And what's most impressive here is the Browns did not rest on their laurels either. They went out this offseason. They signed Zadarius Smith, defensive end, Jordan Hicks, linebacker, Tyler Huntley, quarterback, Nyheim Hines at running back, Akeem, I'm going to mess up your name, Jenny on the offensive line, and Tony Brown for a cornerback, another addition.
And Jameis Winston.
And Jameis Winston. And, by the way, they also traded for Jerry Jeudy. So now you're looking at Chubb, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, one of 5 quarterbacks possibly.
They want it to be, it has to be Watson with the money they've given him.
And they've actually, by adding, I think a lot of people are going to dismiss the Nyheim Hines signing. that is going to give Chubb a bit of a break every now and again, which he is desperately going to need.
If Hines plays, because Jerome Ford held his own at running back. So Hines is probably going to be their third down guy.
Yeah.
But Ford is going to be the backup in that, just to give Chubb the break he needs, because he appears to be on track to play this season. I think he may miss the first 3-4 games, but these two, Ford and Hines, can hold it down.
Yep.
Especially if Deshaun Watson gets his head out his pooper and actually plays football and doesn't get hurt again this time. Because he's not living up to that $230 million. But if their offense can just do anything with this defense that they have, they're going to be a hard out. Where we talked about, on our last show, where we talked about Pittsburgh's weakest position being corner, these fools have 3 all-pro corners, potentially all-pro corners.
Oh, yeah.
They are loaded at cornerback.
Loaded.
So, and then you factor that in with Myles Garrett and these guys. Then they signed Smith. This team is good. And don't discount that defensive coordinator, man. I'm telling you, this team is going to be a hard out. But I just look for them to brown it up.
They always do.
They will do something stupid.
If you're wondering, the first 4 games that Nick Chubb may not be back for are the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Giants, and the Raiders.
There's 4 they shouldn't. Well, they might need him for the Cowboys, but they should need him for the other 3.
He's good to go. And I tell you what, looking at their schedule now, it's not as bad as the Steelers. The Steelers got rogered and good with their schedule.
The Browns came out actually, though, as having the toughest schedule in the league. But all that's based on wins from last year.
Exactly.
That
doesn't mean too much to me. That being said, we will see the Browns for the first time on November 21st. It's a night game.
Yep. Make sure you have Amazon. That'll
be following the Saints for the Browns, leading into the Broncos for the Browns. So they have nothing but to focus on us.
Yep. At least those 2 games are on the road for them. So at least have to travel.
That is going to be a rough game. It does get better for us, though, because the second time we play them, which is only 2 weeks later, by the way, in Pittsburgh, the Browns will have the Chiefs coming to Cleveland. So their focus might be a little bit off. I think overall, though, this is not the Browns team we're used to in Pittsburgh.
No, it's not. They only recently, there was a time when I think Ben was 24-2 against the Browns at one point in time. There was about to be no splitting going on because they weren't good, and Pittsburgh beat them like they weren't good.
Yeah.
Well, they got better. They got tired of taking whoopings. Ownership got out of the way of the GM. Let everybody start coaching. They didn't panic and fire Stefanski like people thought they would. I thought they were going to mess around and fire him, and I'm like, they fired this dude. They're dumb. And I am in no way a Browns fan, but the dude can coach.
Yep.
And I can't call the defensive coordinator off the top of my head, but he's really good. But their schedule, when you look at it, Pittsburgh drew a bad slate with the 3 games in 10 days. They drew, that was just bad. But the Browns have a run of, and don't sleep on this game, at the Commanders, because it's at the Commanders. But the benefit they have is they're going to have a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
But then it's at the Eagles, Bengals, Ravens, Chargers, all at home, though. All at home. But still, there's no easy game in those 4.
No.
Because Harbaugh's going to have them boys ready. He's calling his brother, getting the scoop on all these AFC North teams.
Oh, 100%.
And he's going to give it to him. And then it starts with, you do get a little reprieve at the Saints, but then here come the Steelers back in Cleveland. Then you got to go to Broncos. But then that's a night game, followed by a 1 o'clock game at Pittsburgh. So they're coming off a short week playing in Pittsburgh. Then it's Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Raiders to end it. So that 5 quarterback thing ain't going to work this year. This is all on Deshaun Watson. It's not on Jameis Winston or Tyler Huntley. They brought them on to be backups.
Yeah.
This is on the $230 million man. And can he do it? Can he resurrect, 2019, 20, whenever he was running roughshod over the league? Can he bring it back? If he can, look out. If he can't, this is going to go bad.
How do you scheme as a Steeler? Let's put on your offensive coordinator hat. How are you scheming against this Browns defense?
Number one, obviously, you double team 95. If you don't double team 95, don't show up for the game because he's going to wreck the game, and you're never going to get a pass off. He's going to beat the hell out of your left tackle.
And if you don't know who 95 is, there's a couple other shows on the Disney Channel that may appeal to you a little bit more.
Yeah, you got to double team him. And then you really want to be able to run the ball. You really want to be able to run the ball. And one way to slow him down, too, is to run the ball at him. It's the same thing they do with any good. They tried that mess with Lawrence Taylor. He was just so great it never worked.
Yeah.
You couldn't run away from him, couldn't run at him. But you want to be able to run the ball and control the clock on them because the offense, I don't care, it's Father Time's undefeated in football. When the offense know what they're doing and you can run the ball, you win. So, because you don't want to keep testing Ward and Newsome and these guys throwing the ball at them like that. Cleveland's weakest spot is probably their safeties, whom they don't need.
Right.
Because they have everybody else. And those guys can play. They've been a little bit bit by the injury at the safety position too. But if you got to use your tight end a lot and hope he can beat the linebackers, which Freiermuth should be able to beat them. Washington, those guys from Pittsburgh should be able to beat them. But you want to run the ball. You want to be able to run the ball guard to guard against them and keep Myles Garrett out of the game. Like, I know Denzel Ward good. You don't have to throw at him. He's going to be on Pickens, but so we going to throw at him. You don't have to, but you're going to because of who your receiver is.
Sure.
You got a $100 million receiver just like they got a $100 million corner. Somebody going to make a play. Now Pittsburgh has quarterbacks competent enough and confident enough to attack him, and you just got to hope your guy make more plays than he does. But it all starts with double teaming Myles Garrett.
With Justin Fields' running ability for the Steelers, you got Jalen, you got Najee, you got Justin. I don't want Russ running around. Getting out of the pocket on play action's different.
Yeah,
I don't want Russ running.
That. Yeah.
Are these the type of games against these types of defenses where you see maybe Justin play a little bit more, not in a 2-quarterback system, not anything like that, but just more to strengthen that running game?
I wouldn't do it unless he's starting. And the reason why is because the minute you put him in, you have a 2-quarterback system. You just created controversy for yourself because Russell Wilson can still run.
Sure.
He's just 10 years older than Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is clearly the better runner at this point in time. That's just, again, Father Time as we talk about. But the game plan I described is for Russell Wilson to be the quarterback.
Right.
Only thing I will modify it with, if Fields was quarterback, it will look a little bit more like the Baltimore Ravens offense with the RPOs because you got Fields. Because even though the Browns beat the Ravens last year, Ravens put up 31 points. Pittsburgh ain't put up 31 on the Browns in a minute. You know what I mean? So they've struggled, but they haven't had this. They haven't had the dynamic quarterback situation that they're in now.
Yeah.
Been playing with subpar quarterbacks. So Ben, when he got older, Hall of Famer, I think he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, but he was no longer mobile.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So he was more of a statue back there, and Garrett and them was teeing off on him. And then Mason Rudolph, he's a backup. He's a backup, but he served his point. He was a backup. He was a great Steeler. But you block 95, you run the ball, you control the clock, you wear that defense down. That's the only way you're going to get to them. You got to wear them down.
It sounds to me like, call me crazy, you just described an Arthur Smith offense.
That's what it's going to be. That is exactly what it's going to be, and that's what you're going to have to do. So what do? You draft players to win your division. If you're the head coach, you hire coaches that can coach against your division. Because in this division, he who wins the time of possession will win most of those games and win that division.
So I said earlier, you just brought up a very good point here. I've said earlier that this Steelers team on paper is designed to play with the Chiefs, to beat the Chiefs. They keep the ball away. They got time of possession out of Mahomes' hands. It seems like, though, after speaking about the Browns, about this division a little bit more, this team's really built to play this division. They don't give a damn about the Chiefs.
Because you might not see the Chiefs.
Right.
Like, they'll see them on Christmas, but when will they play them again?
Right.
You may not play the Chiefs ever again in the playoffs, ever. You're going to play these 3 teams twice a year unless they realign the divisions. And now if you look at it, if you're the Steelers and I'm coaching against this division, how many times do I want to give Joe Burrow that ball?
Right.
I don't care how well they play against Lamar Jackson, which has been outstanding lately. How many times you want to keep giving him the ball?
Mm-hmm.
You can say the same thing. Say Tyler Huntley's quarterback in this Browns team. Pittsburgh's had problems with him.
Yeah.
How many times you want to give him the ball? You want to keep those guys, Deshaun, even though he hasn't played great. I think he was 5-1 when he got hurt last year or something like that. So he wasn't playing bad. Looked like he was starting to get it back. You want to keep giving him the ball?
Right.
Only way you're going to do that is not turn it over and be able to run it. If you give it back to him, it better be because you got 3 points or 7. Because when they get it back, they can score on you. This division, I'm sure someone will correct me, but it's the best one I've seen in a couple decades, top to bottom.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the also important thing is I think the over-under right now on game time is right at like 62 minutes.
Yeah.
These things are going to fly.
Yeah.
They're going to do nothing but run the ball.
I mean, these teams, they're going to run the ball and take shots. Yep. Every team is a division. Only team playing a little different is Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But they have the best passer, clearly. I don't think in the division, clearly the best passer. And one of the highest paid quarterbacks, dude got $275 million contract. They're putting it in his hands. But thing is, they may put it in his hands too much if their line doesn't improve, which we'll talk about them on another show. But everybody else wants to play through the run to pass. Cincinnati wants to pass to run. So they're the only one. They're the only outlier.
Yeah.
And it's working for them because if the kid doesn't get hurt last year, they make the playoffs. They went 9-8 and he got hurt. You know, that's what makes you really nervous about the Browns. If they put this record up with 5 quarterbacks and the starting quarterback was 5-1 when he got hurt and they added that talent, they're going to find out what Jerry Jeudy can do.
Oh, yeah.
If the kid was just in a bad situation in Denver and he shows up, because even if Chubb is just okay, they have Jerome Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Ford is good. Ford could start on a lot of teams in this league. He just ain't starting over Chubb.
Yep.
Now name me 5 running backs that would start over Chubb. Once he got there, they don't exist because they would have never drafted him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So this team is set up to have a huge year, and then they have to survive the division.
So where would you, just real quick, looking at their schedule first time, where are you putting them overall record-wise?
I mean, I think this is just looking at it real quick, I mean, I think it's a 10-win team for sure. You know, and when you say all this stuff, barring injury,
of course.
But their schedule it's not easy because there could be 8 losses on here real quick. I can count you 8 real quick. But those same 8 could also be 8 wins because this team is good. So I would say their baseline for wins would be 10. Their ceiling would be 14.
And given the fact that they are the Browns, we'll just give them 7 wins and call it a day.
And just go 7-10 and miss the playoffs and beat it.
It's fair. Completely fair. How do you change the attitude? Because the Browns have had this loser attitude. We constantly are talking about the Browns being the Browns. The Lions have had that. And with Dan Moore coming in, they really have seemed to switch that entire idea, that entire consciousness in that locker room. How do you do that if you're the Browns? Because, I mean, they can't stop.
Well, Dan Campbell came in and just told them the losing's over. And he meant it. Mm-hmm. And they practiced like it. They changed their whole attitude. He went out and got guys that did not have that mentality. Cleveland's done the same thing with Stefanski. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they've done the same thing. He came in and said, no, we're changing this. The GM said, I'm going to let you coach. I'll be the GM, and we'll go from here. And the owner said, I'm just writing checks. And they went out and got football players. They went out and got people who were very successful. I mean, obviously you have to be successful in college to play in the league. Sure. But they went out and got winners. Yeah. Guys that were from winning programs. You know, you got your LSUs, you got your Ohio States, you got your Georgia players. They didn't go get dogs. They went got dogs. They didn't get bums. Right. And that changes it. You got to change that from within. You got to get rid of some of the older players who were used to losing. Yeah. You know, because as soon as they get tight, they going to think in the back of their mind, here we go again. Nah, man, that was y'all. I wasn't here. It's just tight. I've been winning tight games. And that's what they have now. So this division is going to be very fun to watch. It is going to be a dog fight. It could be another year where everybody goes above 500 and somebody missed the playoffs again.
No, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. I think the Browns are going to struggle a little bit with their NFC East opponents, being, what is it, the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Eagles.
The Giants.
Well, 3 of the 4 they'll struggle with. But overall, I think they're going to have a really good season as long as they cannot be the Browns of old.
I think what's going to hang them in the end is their quarterback.
Yeah. I honestly believe.
I think he's done.
I think as much as the Ravens have been hyped, I have no reason to go against Lamar. I am a huge Lamar fan, but I see, frankly, the Browns and the Steelers duking this out.
Yeah, but I think what's eventually going to hang the Browns in the playoffs is a bad game from their quarterback.
There you go. Deshaun Watson, you suck. For Lou Willard, I'm Corey Idle. This is Six Rings and Counting. We'll talk to you guys later.